Hello, Sarah Di Felice here, or Sarah Di Flow, co-founder of Flow Network and host of The Current. It's a new daily practice. Originally, I was calling it an experiment. Really, it is a live living contemplation through the lens of the gene key and the current sun transit. And in this particular video, I wanted to speak about the power of working with our fascia, especially in these times when we are going through a collective mutation or transformation or transfiguration, some people are calling. And why bringing in the themes of the gene keys, even if you know nothing about the gene keys, even if you looked them up or got the book and thought this is too daunting, I understand, is because there's a lot of words. And so part of the reason I'm doing this contemplation, this living contemplation of embodiment with the gene keys into the fascia at this time is because the gene keys are actually about embodiment, and that's one of the misconceptions. Richard Rudd speaks to contemplation having three parts. Well, it doesn't really have three parts, but he does his best to break it into threes. And like many of us, we love the number three. And funny, I just saw take three. I tried to record this video 2 times it went to go live, and I just wanted to keep this as a recording. This video feels really important just from what I've been hearing in the field from different people, and just kind of synthesize a little bit of this inspiration that's been bubbling through me in bringing together two of my passions, actually 3 of my passions: fascia, gene keys, and then video and broadcast. If you're new to my sphere, I went to college for television broadcast and communication media and helped produce TV shows for brands, TV shows that were actually social media shows. When social media came out, I just saw the opportunity instantly that we could now become our own broadcasters. And the deeper truth of that is that we are all broadcasters, whether we show up on a video or not and publicly share that or not. We're just sitting in our homes broadcasting, and we are also receivers as well. We are receiving the energy from the collective, from the field, from people, from the sun, from the cosmos, from different planets. The sun is constantly beaming towards us energy and information. Some people are calling these upgrades. And as humans, it's our job to receive that, to have the awareness what's going on, and allow that information and energy to upgrade our body, our system, our hardware. We can look at our bodies as hardware, and literally through the conversation with fascia and how science is even viewing the body, but the ancients knew this long ago, is that we are a technology. Our bodies are a technology, and it's interfacing with all of these other systems, these living systems on Earth here, but also in the cosmos. And more of us are awakening to our cosmic connections and our multidimensionality that we are. And to me, fascia brings in this conversation in a very tangible, grounded, scientific way, just as the ancients have done through their meridian systems, and the yogis have done. And, the yoga practices are about expanding consciousness in the body. And the fascia is bringing this conversation even more present in the mainstream in ways that are very exciting. And the gene keys bring in some words, some poetry. For me, it is deeply poetic and beautiful, and it's a way to witness synchronicities occur in our life. And you can tell that I'm very passionate about this, and especially the time that we're in. Many astrologers, you might have heard, are speaking to this moment where many cycles, long-term cycles and short-term cycles, are converging around a story, a very real story. And Gene Keys brings this story in Human Design, where Gene Keys came from, part of where Gene Keys came from, are telling this story that we are mutating. You can use that word mutation. You can use the word transformation. You can use the word transfiguration, which the lovely Pam Gregory, if you know her, speaks about. And just simply the metaphor of the dragonfly that is so instrumental into the Gene Keys is this idea that the dragonfly moves from an underwater nymph where it lives its life for a very long time, and then one day crawls up a stalk of grass and slowly goes through the metamorphosis of becoming a dragonfly, where it's living in air versus water where it lived. And it uses the water from its previous life environment to utilize that transfiguration for the wings to spread out and for it to become a dragonfly. Now we can imagine that becoming that dragonfly and going through that process might not be comfortable, and that is certainly true for us humans. And I want to speak to this as a part of the fascia work, because there's many videos out there that show like these kind of quick fixes or seemingly quick fixes to, just work on the fascia and then boom, you're going to feel great. Obviously, life doesn't work that way. There's many layers and it's not always comfortable. In fact, my experience and the experience I see in working with others is that it can be wildly uncomfortable for a period of time. And as long as we know and have the awareness, have this other people speaking to this real reality that it can be uncomfortable, but just knowing that and knowing that it's not going to last, and knowing that out of this, the wings are going to come and you're going to actually be flying and have these like sparkly iridescent wings as you go through the world. Just knowing that helps us not get stuck in the heavy energy that and the discomforts that we can feel in our body. And Tim, my partner, and I, we speak to this in our personal life, is like when we are tapped into our creativity, it actually helps a lot. In fact, it can pretty much take away the pain when we're allowing the creative force, the creative currents, these energies that are very alive right now to flow through our bodies. And to meet that, we have to also do the work of clearing our bodies from these blocks. Like in Chinese medicine, you could call them blocks, obstructions in the flow of energy based off of just patterns, traumas, emotions that have been stuck in the body and then become manifest in the physical body. And so the fascial maneuvers, the fascial work, the breath work, the yoga, there's so many tools out there. But for me personally right now, I've very much gravitated towards the simplicity and the power of the fascial maneuvers, which utilize many principles that are going back into ancient things, like into Qigong and into Chinese medicine. But the fascia loves working in spirals. So these maneuvers work in counter rotations. They work with the breath, which is helping the fascia to break up these adhesions. And the intelligence of the fascia is such that it generates heat and helps to break up these adhesions. So what I'm saying with all this is there's so many things that are working towards helping us upgrade and receive these new energies, these new mutations, if you want to call it that, so that we can actually be more creative, live more in flow with the universe, in harmony, and live in prosperity. With all of this as well, that we are able to tap into our intuition and to there's gifts. We have these gifts, and that's the lovely thing with the Gene Keys is you can for free go onto their website and look up your profile and understand what your gifts are. Understand what your gifts are in your life's work, in your purpose, the gifts that may keep you healthy, and so much more. And it's such a powerful thing to be able to have something outside of us as a clear mirror to give a representation, not so much about who we are. The gene keys aren't showing us this is who you are. Rather, it's showing you your path towards walking towards your highest potential in this lifetime. And it takes us on this really archetypal human journey that many people speak about in different ways. I love Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey, and Dante, and just there's so many myths out there that speak to this movement from the shadows, which we could look at as like the underwater nymph that plays like a predator in its environment and an unseen world to us. And then we get into the level of the gift, which is our creative life force energy. And then the highest potential for the human is the siddhi. Those are what the yogis have spoken to, and ancients have spoken to, the types of superpowers we can have as humans. This point of our life where we've never been here before. And so we're starting to really, with new eyes, see the potential for what it means to be human. What I'm seeing in the people that I am starting to surround myself more and more and more is this longevity. This longevity, not in all these different biohacks that we have to do and take all these things and that are fancy, but just longevity because we're doing what we love and we're clearing past karmas and traumas and imprints. We're looking at it. We're allowing the pain to be there and the discomforts to be there. And that is freeing us and allowing us to live longer, look younger, be more agile, have more vitality. And so this, to finish with this, is why I'm making this video, is to share the why behind what the current is, which is what I'm calling my daily lives at 7 a.m. and bringing together for me as a practice, the receptivity, the intention to connect to the sun and the themes that the sun is moving through every day. But every 6 days it moves through a different gene key. And then every day there's called a line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 6. And those bring in a different flavor and a different nuance. And we can start to see and tune into the rhythm of nature more intentionally by tuning into the current coming from the sun and then running through our bodies, which are bioelectric. And then using the fascia to help us release the blocks and obstructions and start to walk a path towards what many are calling the future human or this new human with a supportive community. And it's such a powerful time for this. And so I invite you to my daily lives. If you can't make it live at 7 a.m. Pacific, then you're welcome to join the replay. And I just started a Substack where I think I sense that I will migrate more and more of my time to that place, which feels a little bit more aligned for where I feel the energy is going. And there might be new things. I have no idea. I'm also working the offline space as well and connecting to people in my really beautiful community here that I just moved to a year and a half ago. And final thing, during that move, when I was looking to find a more aligned place to live, about 3 years ago, I got to document that journey through contemplating the gene keys. I wasn't doing it daily, but I was doing it every 6 days. And it's fun to look back on for myself just to see the lens of which I was viewing the energy at that time and witness the move and the transformation that's occurring in me live. And that's why I'm really excited about doing these contemplations live. And I don't think I mentioned the 3 parts of the contemplation that I started get into at the beginning of this video. The first layer is the mental layer. The second layer is the emotional. And that's what I feel like I was working those 2 that last year when I did the contemplation. And the third part, and this is what I feel like I'm moving into with the daily lives and the current, as I'm calling it, is the merge, and that's the physical layer where the contemplation becomes physical. So at the first level of contemplation, it's where we need to start pausing. That's the part one, is just beginning to pause, because if we're moving too fast, our mind is just kind of living in the future. We can't contemplate from that place. We need to contemplate from taking a pause, breathing, creating emptiness in the mind. At the second level, we are pivoting, what Richard Rudd calls the pivot in his 3 parts contemplation. And the pivot is an emotion. It's where we might be triggered and having a reaction and being in an emotional space. And because we've practiced with pausing, we can pivot that emotion and respond instead of react. And then finally, the third, the merge. The merge is where we're merging with our environment and with this concept that many are calling unity consciousness, or non-duality, or this interdependence, this understanding that we are all one. And that's the thing I love about the fascia conversation, is that it shows that the body is not these pieces and parts kind of put together. It's all one living system. There's a web within us that is the fascia, literally is a web, a network. And then we are a web connecting to one another. And that was a big part of the vision of Flow Network. So there's so many things coming together for me and converging, and I have a feeling that this is happening for many of us. And yeah, the current is an invitation to move with me, to experiment with me in this merge and this transformation that we are going through collectively. It's in a very exciting time to be alive, and I look forward to seeing who wants to join me in the current. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for listening.